why I'm careful about giving specific advice on rental properties today on the Landlord Coach Daily Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Landlord Coach Daily Show, and happy Valentine's Day to all of those who subscribe to that. For those of you who don't, then don't. Go be merry some other way. Anyway, I hope you are having a great day. My name is Mark Dolfini, Landlord Coach, and host of the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show, a somewhat daily show. I think we've done pretty good this week, actually. I think I hit 4 out of 5. And usually Wednesdays I like to take off just because I have some other things going on, and so here you are for 4 days. You got me. So today what we're going to be talking about is why I'm careful about giving specific advice on rentals. I don't often give real granular advice just because, we're going to talk about that. First of all, I want to show you, just to share with you some free stuff. If you want to go to landlordcoach.com/videos, you can go there and get some free stuff. But I'll bring that back up at the end. But why I'm careful about giving specific advice on rentals. And it may not be why you think. I know it's like, well, he's just being a curmudgeon and he doesn't want to give out advice. You know, he wants you to buy his course. He wants you to buy his books and all that stuff. Honestly, it's really not. That isn't the case. Although I wouldn't be sad if people bought my course to better themselves. But, you know, honestly, I want them to buy it because it's truly going to help them, not because I necessarily need the sale. But in lots of cases, I see gurus, and I'm not considering myself a guru. I'm just saying I'm definitely more of a coach than a guru. But what I would say is it doesn't fit everybody's exact situation. So a lot of times I would watch other videos where I'm listening to what other people have to say about whatever. I mean, all I do is real estate stuff. And I hear the advice that they're giving, and they're broadcasting this out to an audience about what they should do in this specific instance. And I'm thinking, this person has a reach obviously nationwide. They also have a reach beyond the borders of the United States. And I can tell you that where they are, wherever they happen to be living, they have laws that are specific not only to their state, but they may have laws and ordinances that are specific to their local area. And I would think, like, you know, some examples of, you know, hey, my tenant, I refer to them as residents. So my resident wants to change the locks. What should I do? Who should cut the grass? I have a lease that's ending in a couple of weeks. What should I be doing? And now, while there certainly are legal considerations for all of those things, because if a tenant wants to change the locks, some areas may allow that. And you, as the rental housing provider, can't say boo about it, as long as you have access to it that's reasonable. Well, welcome to the world of defining reasonable, because one person who says, well, I work third shift, so the only reasonable time for me is for you to come at, when I get off at 6:45 in the morning. You have to be there between 7 and 8:30, otherwise don't come. I mean, you could make an argument that that is reasonable. Well, if your office doesn't even open until 8:30, that's going to be tough for you to do. But taking the individual component out of that or taking the state component out of it for just a minute, what's legal and what's not, you think, okay, well, what is this person's skill set? What is the person that I'm speaking to that's hearing this? What is their skill set? If they don't even know which end of a hammer to hold, and you're giving them advice about how to change locks and do all this other stuff, changing locks does sound easy enough. I can tell you it's not difficult, but I can also tell you can do it wrong. And I've done it wrong, where you can't actually turn the knob if it's all installed incorrectly, or it won't lock. And that's just a real basic thing. So if you're giving advice, like I happen to be pretty handy, there's lots of stuff that I can actually fix. I actually enjoy the maintenance side of things. If I'm giving advice about how to fix stuff, about the furnace cycle, it starts at at the thermostat goes to the control board, and then from the control board it goes to the the inducer motor, blah blah blah, right? I may have lost 2/3 of my audience because they don't even know what I'm talking about when I say control board. And that's just stuff that I happen to know just because I enjoy doing that sort of work. But I also enjoy doing maintenance. So I have to be really careful about in terms of how I answer it. There's another component to this too, though, is that I'm a licensed broker because I own a property management company. So I have to be really, really careful about offering something that could be construed as legal advice. And something, well, where did you hear that from? Well, I heard it from the Landlord Coach. Well, that's interesting because I am very careful to be offering when I'm talking about certain things that I'm not speaking specifically about things that you should be doing in your specific area, especially if it's tied to something that is legal based, right? So you always have to have a good person in your corner that is an attorney, ideally not a patent attorney or your neighbor's attorney who just happens to be the brother-in-law of a former dog owner who wrote up a will for you one time, right? Like that, you need a real estate attorney, specifically one, ideally one that would be doing that does landlord-tenant law. And over the past year, in case you haven't been living under a rock, there's a pandemic on. And right now, one of the biggest hot buttons is the eviction moratorium. People want to cancel rent. They want to say that basically that living in a rental housing or living in housing is a basic human need, so therefore people shouldn't charge for it, and so on and so forth. Now, what my experience has been, a lot of the people that I'm talking to, it's really a solution looking for a problem for a lot of people. Now, I know that there's a lot of people on the coasts, particularly, who may see this video and send me hate mail and say, well, we're really suffering out here. How dare you say that? I'm just saying, here in the Midwest, it's not been as problematic as the people that I've been talking to on the coast. It's definitely more of a problem. But for the most part, fortunately, a lot of people that I've been talking to and a lot of people that I've been working with, it is a solution looking for a problem. The eviction moratorium, I'm not really sure what problems that it does solve. So rather than do it by case basis, they just kind of put a blanket out there because it's very politically expedient to do so. So again, that's a whole other issue. But I think for the most part, it's not as serious as an issue maybe as what's being said. I think a lot of the stories that are out there, again, this is just my experience, and it may be completely wrong, but from my experience, it is the one-off problems that people are having here and there, or it may be targeted to more of a populated area that's been hit harder by COVID, specifically because of manufacturing, or that certain population has been impacted because of a certain what am I trying to say here? Certain industry has been impacted more, right? Like maybe that of hospitality or cruise lines or something along those lines, where they're having more of an impact. So that's where I'm saying that I got to be really careful about those sort of things. So, like if you have a lease ending in 2 weeks, I would say, first of all, you're about 3 months behind. And you should have started the process literally at day 245, which is 120 days back from the lease expiration. So if you've got a lease in 2 weeks, you're not negotiating from a position of strength. You're negotiating from weakness. You basically have, you're the resident is in the driver's seat. If you go to them and you want to raise the rent, 10%. You better hope that they do. Otherwise, now you're going to be looking at a turn. They're going to be looking at moving, or maybe they're just holding out to see what kind of a deal they can get from you. Especially if they are a good resident, and especially if they know that it's the time of year where it can be difficult to rent a property. What am I talking about there? Well, here in the Midwest, there's definitely a season when most people like to move. I can tell you it is definitely not right now, which is the middle of February, when it's 18 degrees outside and there's a foot of snow on the ground. That would suck. But, there is definitely, when it gets to April, May, June, And really even only parts of July, I would say that's kind of the leasing season where everybody likes to get moved. They like to get situated before kids go back to school, before college starts back up, and everybody can get all their summer vacations in and everything else, and then everybody's settled in before the fall. So that would be the ideal situation where people are negotiating from a position of strength during that period of time, during that leasing season or in advance of that. For whatever reason, I know that people have leases that they will say, nope, I'm doing a 12-month lease and that's all I'm going to do. And they go from December to December. And if that works in your market, I'm not going to tell you not to do that. If you're not negotiating from strength because that's not what's normal in your market, then I would tell you to maybe do like a 16-month lease or an 18-month lease so you can get back onto the renewal cycle, which brings you, again, where you're negotiating from strength, right? So that's really kind of the reason why I stay away from about specific advice on rentals, just because there's so many things. And I'll be honest with you too, I've not always gotten it perfect. I've not always done it right. So I can see, I'm going to have some hater that's going to come along and say, well, you didn't do that for my property. Well, yeah, because I probably screwed it up, or again, I've got other people that run that business for me. I oversee things, but it's not always done exactly the right way. I mean, we mess up. Sometimes it just doesn't work out the way we had hoped. Or maybe it was before I put a policy in place, which we now do, and those sorts of things. So that's the main thing there. So had quite a few people on today. Hey, my family from Vegas. It's good to see you. Kathleen and Paul. It's good. Gary, too late. Already invested. Yeah, not... How many properties can I have as a rental without a license? Actually, well, here in Indiana, we've got some really stupid law. And maybe they changed it. But the last time I had seen this was several years ago when I actually reviewed the license law. But I believe it was if you had more than 12 contiguous units, okay? So if you had a 12-plex, I think it was greater than 12 units, you had to have a real estate broker's license. That was the law. I don't know if it's changed. Maybe they wrote that out of the law. It had been a while, but I read it 3 times to make sure that I actually had that right. And that's the law. And the thing that doesn't make sense to me, too, is that there are management companies, which are very large companies, which do fee management for third-party investors, and they don't seem to have a broker's license. And I don't know why. I've always asked, oh, really, who's your broker? Well, we don't have a broker. We just work for investors. How is that not an agency relationship? I'm not sure. No one ever asked me, but that's the way it is. Hello, Joseph Dolfini. I believe you're in, maybe I missed you. I think you're already gone, but you are in Cincinnati. Long lost uncle of mine, I believe. Maybe a cousin, not sure. We've never really chatted and figured that out, but good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. All right, well, that's all I have for today, everybody. If you'd like once more time, I'm just going to put this up there, landlordcoach.com/videos. You can get some cool stuff on there. There's also some paid stuff if you're interested, but don't feel compelled unless it is something you feel that you're going to learn from. But that's all I have for today. So please have an awesome weekend. And of course, be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day and take good care. We'll see you next time.